So let me just start off, kind of giving you a little story, a little background, because we all have some kind of story, some kind of background as it pertains to the poverty mindset and how we got to where we are. Some of y'all know I grew up sleeping on a couch in a crack house. I realized that my mom had an addiction when I was around 10. From that point on, it was an uphill battle. It was an uphill battle. And so I ended up getting things like, or statements, given to me like, oh, money don't grow on trees. So I would ask for things just like any kid. I mean, all the kids, we all ask for things, from our parents. And what I got met with was money don't grow on trees. And I'm like, oh, it don't. What I took from that though is that no, you can't have that thing because we don't have enough money. And it was always that. There's never enough money. There was never enough. There's not enough. There's never enough. That is how the poverty mindset starts. It starts with this indoctrination that you operate from a place of lack. And then as an adult, you don't know how to get out of that thing. And so it becomes very, very difficult. You end up spending money on stuff you don't need, buying things that are unnecessary, and putting yourself further and further in this thing we call debt. And if you are here with me today, you might understand exactly what I'm talking about. It's not like you can help it sometimes. It's like you want to do better with your money, but because you have these ingrained experiences around money and what it means to be wealthy or abundant, you can't even get out of your own way. And that's how I grew up. So much so that in my adulthood, I could not handle money. But y'all got to understand, right? This is me. This is Dr. Kiki Ramsey. I'm a psychologist. I teach people all these things, but I was growing up in my adulthood, not being able to handle money, not understanding what abundance is all about, and also not being able to figure out why. And I ultimately figured out this one thing, and I'm hoping that you get this. Poverty mindset is absolutely rooted in scarcity, generational beliefs, and early life experiences. A lot of times we think that this poverty mindset is our fault, right? I think that at a certain point, when you understand what you're dealing with, it is your job to try to figure out how to overcome it, right? So from young age to the point where you become an adult, no. Once you become an adult, you have to figure out what you're going to do about it, because this is perpetuated from generational beliefs and childhood trauma. You were told or you were shown that there's never enough. There's never enough money. There's never enough food. There's never enough time, right? Like, you think about how people are always like, rushing around and just, it's because they have a scarcity mindset. And so when it comes to generational or poverty, having the poverty mindset, you have to understand that a lot of this was perpetuated when you were younger. It shows up as a constant worry about money. It shows up as undervaluing yourself. You don't value yourself. You charge too little for your work, or you don't negotiate when you try to get a new salary. You just take what they give you because you don't value who you are and what you bring to the table. It shows up as playing really small in life. You're afraid to go for big dreams. You're afraid to bet on yourself and invest in yourself. And it also shows up in things you saying, I can't afford that, without even exploring the possibilities. And so here I am in adulthood, right? And I finally get married. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, right? I finally get married to the love of my life. Shout out to Dr. Ramsey. And I'm still spending money. Soon as I get money in my bank account, it's gone. I got to spend it. I could never stay on a budget. I would make impulse buys because I am used to always being broke. I was always used to being broke. So if I'm always used to being broke, what does my subconscious mind do? It makes me broke. It makes me do things that are going to ultimately leave me without money. So one day I went to the store. This was a grocery store. And I just couldn't ever stay on budget. So I went to the store. I went over budget like always. And then I came home and Dr. Ramsey was like, you cannot go to the store anymore. Excuse me? He's like, yeah, I'm going to do the grocery shopping from here on out because we don't have that kind of money to be spending at the grocery store. Baby, I was hot. I was so angry, so mad at him. And I actually even stopped cooking. I know it ain't right. It's not right. But I actually literally stopped cooking. And I remember coming to him one day and I had a pack of chicken. I said, what do you want to do with this chicken? Because you bought it. So I don't know what you planned on doing with it. Out of control. Just out of control. Because here's the thing. When you are so ingrained in your toxic behaviors, it is so difficult for you to come out of it, but you got to be self-aware. And deep down, I knew, but I didn't know how to go about overcoming something like the poverty mindset. Who knows how to overcome this? All I knew is that I overspend. I don't want to. I've tried to stop before, but I can't. That's all I knew. But that was the straw that broke the camel's back. When my husband is telling me that I can't go to the grocery store and buy groceries. What? You sound crazy. But luckily for me, that when I face challenges that are super difficult, at some point, I'm going to sit back and ask myself some questions. I had to sit back and have these real hard conversations with me. And sometimes that's what we don't do. We don't sit back and have the hard conversation with ourselves. We want to blame everybody else and we want to be all up in everybody else's business. But you straight over here overspending and doing all kind of things with your money and you know you ain't supposed to. So I sat back and I started thinking, I'm like, all right, Key, why the hell you keep on doing this? Why is it that you cannot have money in the bank? Like, why is it so hard for you to see money in the bank or money in savings or anything like that? Why is that? Let's think about this really hard. And oh my God, when I realized why, it was such a mind-blowing revelation to me. So you know that mom I told you about, my loving mom, Lucy. Lucy was an amazing person, but she had her addiction, right? During the first of the month, you know, because we were on welfare and then, you know, lived in the projects, Lucy used to give me money. It'd be like $10, maybe $20 here or there. When she first started doing this, I was a saver. I would save my money. I just thought that was the thing to do. Nobody taught me. But I was, you know, always in my mind, I had something that I wanted to buy. So this was the first of the month. By the 5th of the month, Lucy always came back and said, you still got some money? And I'm like, yeah, I still got it. I was saving it. Let me borrow it. What? Wait, huh? Let me borrow it. I mean, but mommy, let me borrow the money. I done told you I'm going to give it back to you. And that happened to me several times. So guess what I started to do? Yep, you got it. I started to spend my money as soon as she gave it to me. Even if I ain't want nothing, but as kids, we always want something, right? And so every time she would come back and say, you got some money left? No, I spent that. And this went on for years. So in my adulthood, the fact that I could never hold on to $1 made so much freaking sense because I'm scared somebody is going to come take it. Now, the somebody, I don't know because my mom is no longer here, right? She's no longer with us on this earth. So, but her presence turned into somebody. Who is somebody? It don't matter. I'm ingrained now. I'm indoctrinated up into this thing now. I'm deep up into this thing at this point. But here's the beauty and what I just told you. I had to come to the realization of what had happened. How did I get here? There's something in knowing and being aware. You need to sit down and ask yourself the tough questions. You need to say, what has come from? What in your past, what in your childhood perpetuated this thought process? Because let's be clear, the way you think ultimately affects how you feel. So the way you think about money, the way you think about abundance affects how you feel about it. And then how you feel about it ultimately affects what you do about it, what you do or don't do about it. And so for me, I thought money didn't grow on trees. Money was a scarcity. So I felt distant from money. I felt distant from anything remotely close to abundance. So I never tried to go after it. Or as a matter of fact, my actions were the opposite. I tried to get rid of it when I had it because that's what was ingrained in me as I grew up as a child. You got to sit down and ask yourself these questions. Where did this come from? Think about scenarios and experiences that you've dealt with in the past that may have made you the way that you are. If you don't do this, it will keep you stuck. And let me just mention this. Abundance don't just deal with money, right? Like it's not just a money thing. You can be abundant in relationships. And I've been, in my life, very, very blessed to have amazing relationships. Been married for over 20 years, right? I have wonderful relationships with my kids. I mean, we struggle, but wonderful relationships. And so you got to think about your life as a whole when we talk about abundance and health. Like, when you got good health, that's abundance, because baby, there's a whole bunch of people out here who are struggling physically with their body, right? As I get older, I'm like, Lord, okay, the body don't work like it used to, right? So when we talk about abundance, there is a lot of things. And in John 10:10, it says, I came that they may have life and have it more abundantly. So the Lord really wants you to be abundant. Let me go down the list. The first thing you need to do when it comes to overcoming the poverty mindset is you got to backtrack your steps, boo. You got to figure out what the root cause is of your poverty mindset. And more than likely, it is based on something in childhood or, your teens or, early adulthood. It's based on something that you went through in the past, because you don't just get here. We don't just get here by mistake. Like you go through something to get here. So you got to figure that out. And then you have to start taking steps to overcome and correct the behaviors that you're doing. So for me, when I realized that why I was doing what I was doing, I had to realize that the somebodies who I thought was going to take my money, they don't exist. It was stories I've been telling myself. The reasons that I've been giving myself to spend money, they are not valid. This is facing and taking accountability for your actions. And let me just tell you, if most of us took accountability for our actions and how we showed up in life, then we would be all better off. And so this process ain't easy, because you got to step up and you got to unbury all the things that you done buried. And you got to look at the books and you have to look at the damage that you've done. And it's possible. You have to start taking small little actions. And so in my instance, I realized what was going on. And so I put some safeguards into place. And that safeguard was that if I was going to spend anything over $100, I had to consult my husband. I hated it, but I knew it was the right thing to do. And it was vice versa. Don't get me wrong. My husband wasn't out. He couldn't go out and wild out of control and just buy whatever he wanted either, right? Like we were accountable to each other. If any one of us was going to go out and spend money that wasn't slated for something that was over $100, we had to consult the other and we had to really listen, even when the other person said no. And I'm the kind of person that I don't like to get no. So you can imagine how hard this was for me, but I had to put a safeguard in. Some of you may not have a spouse, but you can find an accountability partner, because you have to be accountable to yourself and to the goals that you want in your life. So one of my first goals that I wanted to create was to be able to join the Comma Club. So what is the Comma Club? The Comma Club is where you can look into your bank account and you have at least $1,000 with the comma, right? Like, so the 1,000. I wanted to join the Comma Club. And so I had to have at least $1,000 in the bank. I just had to have it in the bank. It was not slated for anything, nothing, no clothes, no electronics. It was just meant to sit in my bank account and marinate. Baby, let me tell you how hard that was. Because, oh my God, I would see this money in the bank and everything in me wanted to come up with the reason to spend it. But I knew what I was accountable for. I knew what my goal was as well, was to get in the Comma Club. And then I had to learn how to think in abundance. I had to shift my mindset, right? So I created some powerful affirmations in my life. I am worthy of abundance in every area of my life. This is one that I still say to this very day. I am worthy of abundance in every area of my life. Money flows to me with ease and purpose. Come on, somebody. Like, I hope y'all writing these down. These got me through and they still get me through, right? Because I am living in abundance right now. I let go of fear and receive God's provision because he has it for you. I am no longer afraid to succeed. The amount of people who are afraid to succeed is mind-blowing, but I understand it because if you succeed, then more is required of you. More is required of you. People look at you differently. You become a role model, all these things. And some people don't want to do that. People come out the woodworks because they feel like you got money, all the things. And so there's a lot of us who are afraid to succeed. But when you're thinking of abundance and you're thinking of overcoming the poverty mindset, you got to tell yourself that you are not afraid to succeed. I'm a worthy of abundance. There is more than enough for me. Woo! Somebody, let's talk about it right now. There's more than enough for you. I don't care what this world has to say. There's more than enough for you. There's enough room at the top for all of us. I know that a lot of people in this country do not believe that, but that's not going to stop me from believing it and operating in that. There's more than enough for you. I release fear and embrace faith. Wealth flows to me easy and constantly. So these are some of the affirmations that I had to say to myself on a daily basis. Because here's the thing, what you have to do is rewire your brain. When you grow up with the poverty mindset, it's like there's all these files. Like your brain is like a file cabinet. And when you grow up with the poverty mindset, all these files and experiences around money get filed in your brain. So over here, your mama told you that money don't grow on trees. Over here, your mama asked you for your money back. Over here, you went without food. Over here, you got evicted from your apartment. Over here, you lost your car. It got repossessed. I mean, all these files go into your brain and they hardwire you for poverty mindset. And so your recourse is to rewire your brain. What you are putting into your brain is what matters. So when you're saying these positive affirmations to yourself, they are rewiring the negative and the negativity that's in your brain already. And it takes a lot. It takes a lot. It takes 3 times as many positive affirmations as it does one negative. And that is the truth. That's the truth even to this day regarding anything. It takes 3 times as much positivity as negativity to rewrite a negative incident. It's just the way that it is, but we can do it. I sum this up by saying, start by quieting yourself, get your journal out and reflect. I want you to reflect on and ask yourself a couple questions. The first one is, how did I get here? How did I get to a place where I operate from a poverty mindset? Think about all your experiences, write those things out. The next one is, when did I first learn that I wasn't worthy of having more? When did you learn that? Because along the way you learned that. I was spending money because I didn't think I was worthy of having money. When did I first learn that? What do I have to suffer through to have blessings? And then what are some ways that I can begin to rewrite the wiring in my brain? And then lastly, what is my goal around money, wealth, and abundance? What would that actually look like for me? I did all these things over some years because it wasn't instantaneous. But if you start doing the first, like really discover the root cause, you will get some instant relief because now you know, right? At least you know. But I did all these things and I was able to overcome. And now I'm able to look at my bank account with several commas in it because that's the way the Lord has blessed me. And for me, I don't know, maybe I had to go through that to get to the place that I am right now, and for the Lord to trust me with more than enough. And that's my prayer for you, is that he blesses you with more than enough and that you're able to see it as such and to hang on to it because he wants you to be wealthy. And so do I. My goal is to help millions of women to be successful. Your help with subscribing to the channel and sharing this video with someone is going to be a tremendous help, not only to me, but to them you can bless somebody's life with this, because I know that you know somebody else who needs to hear this. And if you want support, join my free community called Thrive Society. All you got to do is go to drkiki.com and click on the link for Thrive Society, and I'll see you there. We support each other. I coach you through difficult times, because your success is my success. And as always, you have the opportunity to be and to create your own happiness. So go out there and get it.